Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Casting Seeds.
I'm Savannah, your host.
Jeremiah, your co-host.
And you are listening to the only holistic health podcast that uses God's singular truth to give you individualized discernment, specifically in healthcare. And urine for a treat today.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Urine for a treat. Can you guys guess why? Last week we talked about poop, and now this week...
She wanted to say this like 20 minutes ago, and she's like, I'm saving it. Like, oh my gosh, that's what I waited for. Oh my gosh. Urine for a treat. Everybody.
Listen. I thought it was clever. I think it's really funny. Anyway.
You're totally ready for parenting.
Okay. You guys don't understand. I was really excited about this earlier.
She thinks she's really funny.
I am. I'm laughing so hard. I think it's great. Okay, well.
I'm laughing with you.
No. My cheeks actually hurt from laughing. I actually think this is funny. Okay. Ooh, I can do this. We can do this episode today.
Totally worth it.
I can. I really thought that was clever. And the fact, just like urine builds up in the bladder, I really built up that joke.
Yeah, you're in for a treat.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, poop and pee are funny. Last week's episode, if you guys missed it, was about assessing your stools and poop. So I figured it would only make sense this week to talk about your urine. And then if this goes by really quickly, I figured we could start moving into limbs and hands in general. But this also just may be a shorter episode this week because Jeremiah and I have quite a few different episodes. I mean, I can't even talk. I'm still laughing. Okay, I can do this. Whew. Jeremiah and I have quite a few interviews coming up, so we've been really focused on that. And we also have some big possible life changes happening. And I've also had some family health issues that have come up that I'm so thankful for my church family and everyone who does listen to this and the people who are praying for my family and who know. Once that information is a little more
public,
then we may ask for more prayer through the podcast. But until then, please be praying for Jeremiah and I and our family and just all of the big changes that we see God doing and using with this podcast and the people we've been able to reach and speak to and learn from and glean from. So, okay, I really hope no one listens to the beginning of this episode, and then goes, just kidding. I don't want to interview with you guys anymore.
Because they're in for a treat.
Everyone is. You're in. All of them. Okay, let's actually get to the topics. As usual, if you guys are new to this podcast, I am Savannah. I'm a holistic health practitioner. I specialize in alignment therapy, but I'm also an herbalist, and I am a wife to Jeremiah, who is my co-host. And Jeremiah tends to play more so. He does do a lot of research and he does know a lot about holistic health. And he also used to do bodybuilding. So he helps a lot of my clients when it comes to alignment work and doing strength training exercises. But Jeremiah tends to be the voice for the people who are listening, the voiceless. So when I state facts or bring up things that may sound crazy to people, he then checks in and goes, what in the heck are you talking about? And that's kind of the dynamic of our podcast. Are you ready, honey, to talk about urine?
What are you talking about?
Exactly. Okay, signs of a tired bladder. Can you think of what a tired bladder would mean, Jeremiah?
So, a tired bladder.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I think of like a muscle when it's tired.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of lose control of it in a way. It's weak.
Yeah, it's not activating properly.
Yeah.
Right? So normally the first thing you think of when you think of a tired bladder is poor bladder control. So just like that, organs have to activate properly the same way a muscle does, right? Also, urinating every 5 minutes, like not being able to hold it properly. So lack of control doesn't always mean like being able to push, because I think people think of organs and they think of pushing and moving things, but also there's a holding aspect, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So a tired bladder, some really easy key signs is poor bladder control. So leaky bladder, right, is
So
one
like
of
if
them.
you pee in the bed while you sleep and stuff, would that be considered? Oh,
Or when people jump on a trampoline, and women have pelvic floor dysfunction. So women will jump on a trampoline after birth, and then they'll pee their pants a little bit, or when they jump up and down, and then that's considered normal, and it's not normal. So signs of a tired bladder are poor bladder control, dark, cloudy urine, urinating like every 5 minutes, stiffness in your little pinky toes. Jeremiah's face just got so scrunched, and chronic headaches.
your pinky goes what?
Stiffness in your little pinky toes.
From not being able to control your bladder.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
So a lot of people, now that I've said it, I feel like a bunch of people are like, I'm wiggling my pinky toes. Do you feel like you can wiggle yours?
Yep.
Just separately on your own?
Yep.
A lot of people can't do that.
Lies.
No, really. A lot of people can't.
If anyone experiencing that, send Savannah a message.
Or apparently send Jeremiah a message.
If you feel like sharing.
I'm going to put on my Instagram in the next 2 days, I'm going to do, can you wiggle your pinky toe? And then I'm going to do another one saying, do you know why we're asking this? To see who actually listened to it. So the reason why that's a common thing in homeopathic medicine is because in Chinese medicine, your meridian that goes to your bladder, it goes to your pinky toe.
What is a meridian?
A meridian is basically a line of energy that is equated to the flow of an organ. So you have your kidneys and your bladder, the water function in your body, where like how your body eliminates water, and that goes out towards your pinky toe. That's what like the base of reflexology is, and
Acupuncture.
thank you, acupuncture, all of that. Reflexology, acupuncture, acupressure.
So that thing where they put that sock on and they tells you where all your organs on your foot, that's not hocus pocus?
No, I wouldn't say it's hocus pocus.
Oh.
Your hands and your feet both have like a body map within them, where if you push certain parts of them, they can actually correspond to different organs. And what's interesting is I feel like a lot of Christians can immediately kind of get defensive when it comes to that type of work, especially Eastern type of medicines. But God created our bodies to be able to function wholeheartedly and together, right? So even if I cut off my left hand, if it got cut off, or my left foot, obviously my organs are going to function properly. But what's interesting is if something's failing in an organ or a muscle group, and then you touch that in your hands or feet, a lot of people are very sensitive in those areas. So that's how they kind of corresponded and created reflexology and a lot of Eastern-based medicines. Is that demonic in any way, shape, or form? I mean, I'd love to ask you, Jeremiah. I don't think so. I don't know how mapping out your organs on your hands or feet could be related to anything that is non-biblical in any way. But yeah, when it comes to reflexology, the same way with any type of herbal supplement, medicine, or type of body work that anyone receives or gives, every body is different. Everybody and every body is different, right?
That's funny.
So
yeah.
Everyone's going to respond differently to different treatments. And I personally, once my body got healthier from PCOS and it's been getting healthier, I've noticed reflexology. I've never really just responded super well to reflexology or acupuncture or acupressure. It's never been something that I've felt really in depth. But then I've known people who are the exact opposite, and like only acupuncture and acupressure work for them.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't think it'd be considered demonic either. You know, like if it was predicting the future based off of what's on your hand.
Yeah.
That's demonic.
Absolutely.
Having nerves that are connected in your own personal body, I don't see how that's demonic.
Right.
They're not worshiping it.
Exactly. I agree with you. So, I mean, maybe that's a hot take. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't see how it could be, but yeah, I agree with you. As long as there's no worship involved.
Yeah. And it's not like you can't think of the process like I'm healing myself.
Mm-hmm.
You're not.
No.
Your body is not your own.
Yeah, that's a great point. And that's the thing. A lot of people in holistic medicine tend to talk about going to a healer or becoming a healer.
Shaman.
Yeah, in some sort of way or form. And we just want to make it very clear. I tell my clients, your body is your own healer.
Yeah, Savannah gets all kinds of praise, and she always corrects him. It's like, I didn't do
don't
anything.
heal
I
you.
just held in this position. You did all the work.
Yeah, God created your body. God created your body to self-heal. So in that way, God healed you through his natural creation. Your body was its own healer in that way. You are not a healer. I am not a healer. We don't heal people. That's not what we're talking about here. Are you ready to get into urine?
I want to say yes, but I'm scared you're going to say the pun.
Your intake is about to become max level on urine facts.
Okay.
I don't care what you say. I'm editing this week.
Oh,
It's not crap, it's pee. Anyway. Okay, guys, let's actually get into some brass facts here. Ooh. Oh, also, really quickly, scratching back. The reason that the whole thing with the pinky toe is also why headaches are a reoccurrence as well.
okay, what?
Because remember I said poor bladder control.
Yeah.
So headaches have to do with that same thing.
Is it like due to like pressure or, well, I mean, like how does that travel to your brain also?
It's more because you can't flush out your
Toxins and stuff
properly.
like that? Okay.
Through your bladder. So it can stay within your lymphatic system longer. And when your lymphatic system can't flush, which is either through your urine, your fecal matter, or sweat, then you are unable to flush out your toxins through your liver and kidneys properly. And then it builds up and people can get chronic migraines.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like when it comes to like alcohol or like you have a cold, like flushing your system, getting all that stuff out because you end up feeling a hangover or you start getting a headache because you're not flushing the cold out and stuff.
Or like that's why after massages, people are told
Lymphatic drainage.
to have good, well, in general, because you always have lymphatic, no matter what type of massage you get, there's some sort of lymph involved because we're moving the tissue. And that's why you have to either then sweat it out afterwards or drink enough water to be able to pee it out. Same thing with the workout, right? You become chronically hydrated, not just because you sweat. People think that they just lose a lot of body fluid so that they have to replenish the body fluid. Yes, you're burning through electrolytes, but those electrolytes are helping grab all of the basically the micro tears and things in your muscles, what's happening to your body composition and taking it through your filtration system and filtering out the fat and even the protein that your body's now losing.
Okay.
If you have difficulty in peeing, which means you feel the need to pee consistently, or it doesn't come out easily, this is a sign that you need to balance your bladder and kidney. In Chinese medicine, they would say you need to balance your energy or your like life flow, which is why they talk about meridian points. But in general, you can do that with food and herbs and just lifestyle alone. You don't have to open it up with chi points or with acupuncture.
What is a chi point?
Chi points are the points, the meridian points all over your body in Asian medicine, Eastern medicine.
Okay, so because like I've heard of chi as representing of energy. I've never heard of it as like a body function.
If it's blocked, if that point on your body is blocked, they're saying like the flow of energy is now, imagine points all over your body, starting from the top of your head down to your feet. If one of those sections are blocked, they're saying the energy flow is blocked. So that means a buildup is happening incorrectly, and now energy is flowing incorrectly or backing up incorrectly.
This is that, what is it? Proper waves. I think it's chakra.
No,
that whole thing?
That's a different conversation.
Oh, okay.
Chakras are those big, like the root chakra in your pelvis.
I thought the chi thing was all part of that stuff.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Chakras are from Hinduism. Chi points are from Chinese medicine.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
So one is more of a spiritual background. Chi is not necessarily equated as spiritual. It's just like life. Like that's how they explained someone's existence.
Interesting.
And then that's how they equated it into medicine. So maybe that is a good thing for Christians to know and understand. One is more spiritual based, and the other one can become more spiritual based if someone worships yin, and in Chinese medicine they say yang, or yin and yang. But it just depends on whether or not you can take the actual facts out of it and then see it for what it is.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily read bodies with yin and yang. I don't do Chinese medicine just because that whole aspect kind of confuses me, even with the feminine and masculine sides of it, all of that stuff. But there are truths to it. And you can take those truths and individually process how to then help a body.
So I understand all that now. Thank you for explaining that. I feel like understanding that makes me understand my body a little bit more, and why I have like pressure in my pinky or somewhere else. Apparently, I'm gonna start paying attention more to my own body.
Yeah, I do like that Chinese medicine is all about making you become aware. Like there's a reason and a purpose for every little thing that could possibly hurt or be off. It creates body awareness, and I do appreciate that with Chinese culture and Chinese medicine in general.
Yeah, if you see me with my foot up in the air, you know what I'm doing. What are some, I guess, minerals or plants, or what can we consume to get rid of this pinky stiffness?
Oh, okay. So yeah, for helping difficulty in peeing in general, there are a few things that you can take, but you'd want this to be included daily in your diet, not just something that you take every once in a while.
So there are no treats.
No.
You lied to me in the beginning.
No, the treat is you get to learn about how to pee properly.
She knows my heart.
You're in for a treat. And guess what? It's beans.
I like beans.
Yeah, beans, kidney beans, which they're shaped as a kidney. They're meant for urine.
Yeah.
Lima beans, really great fluids, which I feel like everyone really is on the cherry juice trend right now. I don't recommend cranberry. Also, fun fact, all of these things that support your bladder are healthy during pregnancy, but in excess amounts. And if there are some that are overly stimulating to your bladder or to your uterus, is not safe during pregnancy.
How about during what is it called when you have a bladder infection?
These are great for that.
Okay.
So the fluids, cranberry and cherry juice, nettles and dandelion tea, plenty of water, and not just stripped water. You need to have water that is filtered, and then minerals are added into your water. Soups made from celery, carrots, squash, asparagus, and again, lima beans. Remember I mentioned that earlier. Uva ursa, having 500 milligrams twice a day works wonders for urine difficulty. That. Yeah, uva ursa is amazing. Avoid all types of caffeine, which means all coffee and tea with caffeine.
Chocolate.
I mean, sugars are not going to be great, but you can have a dark chocolate.
Is caffeinated.
You can have dark chocolate.
Okay.
Not in high amounts, but in small amounts, and also not before bed. Sea vegetables, so like coming from the ocean, kombu, wakame, and nori. Nori is so good for the bladder.
Yeah, nori keeps popping up for other things too.
Nori is great. It's kind of like a secret.
That and sea moss. I don't get it.
Okay, also having really good fish, but the two specifically are trout and wild salmon. I mean, everything should be wild, but those are the best things that you could do for, it's called the McKeith Bladder Builder Program, actually. So specifically, Gillian McKeith, Dr. Gillian McKeith is the one who created that bladder program. So too much pee and always running to the bathroom, and I'm talking about like every 15 to 30 minutes, is a sign of low kidney energy and a tired bladder. I remember earlier when we were talking about energy is not some woo-hooey weird thing where we're talking about the energetics and worshiping energy. That's not it at all. When I'm talking about energy, I'm talking about function. Like Jeremiah, you have a lot of energy and you like to move when you're sitting, right? That's energy coming out of you.
She's making fun of me because I can't sit still.
I know. But listen, it's a healthy thing. It's something that you need to do and you feel like you need to do because you have a buildup of energy.
What you're referring to is a low battery, basically.
Yeah, our body is made up of energy, fuel, and it's converted into energy, right? So when you have low kidney function or low function anywhere, it's low energy. Higher, something overactive that's activating too much. So like when you're supposed to sit still and you're not able to sit still in a child, that's when they give them the definition of ADHD. They have high. You're supposed to fill in the blank. High.
I don't know it.
Energy. What do you mean?
I don't know what the blank is.
The blank is energy.
Okay.
Okay. So when a muscle is underactive, it has low what?
Energy.
When it's overactive and it's firing and it hurts and it's painful, has high
energy.
Yes. When you are not moving and a muscle is twitching on its own, that singular muscle has high what?
High energy.
Okay. And then if you're working out and you notice that you pull a muscle because it's not moving the same way the rest of the muscle group is, that one muscle who did not move properly has what? Low
energy?
Yes. So now if we're talking about organ function, if you are swimming super hard and your heart rate can't keep up because your heart isn't functioning properly, your heart has what? Low
energy.
Yes. So what I'm trying to explain is, in general, Christians think when they hear energy or energy source, they think it's some weird woo-hoo-y thing. And what I'm saying is it's not. When you have energy, our whole body is made out of energy. Energy comes from the sun. It comes from the food that we're eating. And then we expel that energy. But if our body is not functioning properly, our organs or our muscles, and something is out of sync, it either has high energy, too much high energy, or too much low energy. So when you have too much pee and you're always running to the bathroom, it's a sign that your kidneys have low energy and your bladder is getting tired for trying to work and keep up for your kidneys all the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what about people who drink a gallon a day?
Of water?
Yeah.
I don't care how much water you drink. It needs to not be stripping. So if you have over purified water.
No, what I'm saying is because when I drink a gallon a day, when I was drinking a gallon a day, I'd pee every 30 to 45 minutes.
I think that's okay. As long as all day.
Yeah, all
every
day.
30 to 45 minutes.
Just drinking all day long.
I don't know, because when I drink a gallon of water a day, and obviously you and I are different weights and different heights. When I drink a gallon of water a day, it's like I trained myself, especially when I was massaging, to pee every hour. And outside of that, then when I'd work out, I'd want to drink more. But that's what I was trying to say. If it has good electrolytes in it, I don't care how much water you drink, because then your body's going to know when it's had enough, whether it's more than a gallon or less than a gallon. Does that make sense, what I'm saying? It doesn't matter how frequently you're peeing, unless you are running. This one's every 15 to 30 minutes. Do you feel like you were running that frequently to the restroom?
There was times 30 minutes.
So were you hydrating your water properly then?
I wasn't hydrating my water at all, no.
Yeah, so then you probably were creating an overactive bladder and overworking your kidneys, so your kidneys were having lower function at that time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this can be caused also by drinking too many soft drinks that are loaded with sugar additives too. So the reason why a pure overstripped water is comparable to something that has too many sugars is because when the water is going through you, it's stripping your body of minerals, right? And it's flushing through you too quickly where your body can't absorb the water. So you're constantly dehydrating yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same thing then if you're only drinking soft drinks or things full of sugar all day or full of chemicals, whatever it is, the water can't be processed by your body because the liquid's going through you and stripping more liquid from you. And then your kidneys, your liver can't keep up, your kidneys can't keep up, and then your blood flow can't keep up with your heart because those are all in sync. And then it just you constantly have to pee.
Interesting.
Because your liver can't filter it out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So can I give you some solutions on how to fix that?
Yeah.
One, start hydrating your water with trace minerals and or salts. We've talked about that in the last episode too. And just to let you know, you guys, all the things that we mention, we always put in the show notes for you to be able to purchase as well at the end. But to go off of that, you want to introduce barley, wheat berries, sweet rice, black beans, kidney beans, wild salmon, trout, all those things that I mentioned before, slowly into your diet just to help kind of reset your kidneys. Also, parsley is so good to add to your savory foods wherever and whenever possible because it helps balance out the white salts. And as we mentioned before in the past, the white iodized bleached table salts and the Himalayan salts that are dyed pink, most of them, are not really great for consumption. We always recommend a really good gray Celtic, it doesn't have to be a Celtic sea salt, but a gray sea salt. We just really liked Celtic sea salt. And that was kind of, 4 years ago?
Yeah.
That got us kind of on the bandwagon of getting into salts and understanding our adrenal function and our kidney function and all that fun stuff. Also, if you're prone to bladder infections and or UTIs, which ding, 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 that was me for a really long time. Eating cranberries or drinking cranberry juice is best for that. And let me just say, not cranberry concentrate, but going to the store and getting pure cranberry juice. Jeremiah learned this, remember when you went to Sprouts?
Yeah. We have a connection at Sprouts, and then she's helped me for almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
She's a pretty great lady.
And that's the thing. She was so sweet because I was dying a few times here at home. And she explained to Jeremiah the difference between juice concentrate, which is concentrated sugar juice. And you'll read on the back, and that's a good way to check. If you're not sure if it's juice concentrate or not, flip it over. And if your cranberry or cherry juice or whatever, your dark berry juice says concentrate, don't get it.
Yeah.
And then two, if
Added
it's
sugars.
loaded with sugars. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even added with sugars. It should have 0 sugar in it because it's a tart berry. Same thing with cherries. Cherries naturally have sugar in it, a little bit higher, but it shouldn't be very high. Also, making soups or broths from veggies that are effective for the bladder, the things that I listed before. So celery, squash, asparagus, lima beans, dandelion tea, dandelions in general. Also, flax can really help, but only for women. Don't use that for men because it's really high in estrogen. Next is cloudy urine. So cloudy urine, and this is again more of that Chinese background, a sign that your body is damp and acidic. Okay. So in Chinese culture, they measure your body whether it's hot or cold, damp or dry. Our bodies tend to run more dry, both of us.
Yeah.
And a little bit more cold, right? Because we love the hot, wet weather.
Yeah.
So figuring out your guys' compensation, or I'm sorry, not compensation.
How much for tonight?
Yeah, exactly. No, what is it called? Body composition. That's what it is. It's so funny that I said compensation. Figuring out your natural composition, now I can't say it. Your natural body composition is figuring out what weather you hate to be in the most. I hate being in super dry, cold weather. I hate it. I hate it more than anything. It's like California winters, except for weirdly this past 2 winters, are normally very dry, like your lips want to blister, and so cold.
It is the desert.
Yeah. So I hate dry, desert, cold winters. And that's why my body runs very dry and very cold. So naturally, I love being in hot, tropical, wet weather. I love it. And Jeremiah didn't realize this, but he does too.
Yeah, we're definitely from the Mediterranean.
Yeah. Our bodies thrive there.
Yeah.
What's cool is God created most of our bodies generationally to be able to hold that composition of where we're from. So like the past 4 generations on your mom's side and your dad's side, if you think about that background, your body is made up of that. So you're comfortable wherever they were from. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, totally.
Like my family's more from Mexico, from the Mediterranean, and I love the hot, warm, year-round weather. So getting back to cloudy urine, when you think about a cold, damp body, it's also higher acidity. And normally that's from eating the wrong foods in your body. So higher sugars, animal products, dairy, and eggs. If you're naturally vegan and then you're going into, or like more plant-based, and then you start adding these foods back into your diet, those can all give you a really heavy swing of like be higher acidity and affect you. So the same way if you're a meat eater, like you're more, and your body's been doing pretty well on more of a carnivore based diet, and you start adding more herbs and supplements back into your body and your body's not natural to it, it's going to run a little bit more damp and go higher acidity. So on both ways of the spectrum, that can happen. If you're a normal person, like most of us, it's more so processed food, sugars, and honestly, anything that is not from your natural genealogical background and make. So for me, I do a lot better with corn and those types of foods from my genealogical background. Jeremiah does better with potatoes with his. Also refined sugars and grains, but especially like white rice and too much even white potatoes and things like that. They can cause a high, or even like wheat. It promotes high acidity for your small and large intestine, and it produces large amounts of chlorine and toxins inside your body. So when the body's overly acidic, it becomes a breeding ground for bacteria. And some people with cloudy urine exhibit other symptoms of dampness, such as lethargic, heavy limbs, sluggishness, feeling kind of stiff and fuzzy headed overall in general. So normally that higher bacteria that people complain about, and then they want to add like probiotics and all that stuff. The reason why that doesn't work is because they're not taking out the diet first that's affecting them. They have too much high caffeine. They have too much acidity in their body and too much stress. And then it's building that bacteria. And then they can't fix it, even when they're taking all this really good stuff. They're like, I'm eating really good though. Yeah, but you're also not eating good for a certain amount of time, like 2 to 3 months of being totally clean and resetting your body, which a lot of people, it's hard for them to commit to that. But there are solutions. You can fix it. You can eat a really good wild blue-green algae, which...
Back to the sea.
Yeah. The ocean heals you, I guess. That can really help dry up the dampness inside somebody internally. Also, millet, turnips, sweet potatoes, and other root vegetables. Those can really, really help. And then there's these special beans, aduki, adoki beans. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's A as an apple, D as in dog, UKI. Those are also really good as well.
I'm trying to think of like if I've had cloudy urine before.
Yes.
And I did notice when I was working out and I was taking a lot of pills, or not pills, but like not medication, vitamins, supplements and stuff. My urine was more cloudy then than like at any other point. And then there were like when I was drinking my gallon a day, it was just clear.
So cloudy urine also tends to have a certain smell to it as well.
Yeah, like when I have a lot of calcium, my pee smells.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's the same way that like when you eat asparagus, that tends to smell as well. So different types of foods can definitely affect the smell of your urine. And that's why I don't necessarily have a list here about smell, because smell could be 1,000,001 different things.
That makes sense. I was actually going to ask about smell.
Yeah. So same thing with your stool too, right? 1,000,001 different smells that your stool can have. But ultimately, acidity is what you want to test more for. So you can smell and you can start to find the difference of when your urine smells higher in higher acidity. Then you know there's too much dampness internally, and you have to eat warmer foods and things like that to help heal that and mend it. But it's honestly taking out a lot of the refined starches and kind of resetting your bacteria microbiome.
Okay. I had another question. What if you just eat charcoal?
Activated charcoal?
Yeah, activated charcoal. Like, wouldn't that help you like clean out your gut and clean out your basically all your organs that process liquid and food?
So the way you're saying it is a little bit like it's a cure-all, and there's no such thing as a cure-all medicine, right? So yes, to a degree, you could take a certain amount of activated charcoal a day and it's a binder. So it will absorb things. But here's the thing. It's also going to absorb good things as well, not just all the bad. That's not possible. It will make your stool really dark, and it could make your urine also dark as well if you really ate that much. I pray that you're not ever eating that much. But no, what you're saying is not fully possible. It can't really clear out everything all at once. That's more, our bodies were made to do things slowly over time and to be able to adjust to things. So if you just start eating a higher fiber diet, a more complex, like the greens that I talked about in last week's episode, that really great paradise greens that I love, because it's more bioavailable to your gut and body. That has helped even you and I significantly with our bathroom time. So
bathroom time.
Because you take your time in the bathroom.
It's okay. You're in for a treat tonight.
Anyway, so when it comes to your body resetting and clearing itself, you have to understand that it does take trial and error. And I think that's the part of holistic health that people get really frustrated with.
Yeah, the time.
Yeah, it takes time.
I feel like our generation and the generation ahead, ahead of us, we're behind.
Ahead of us is Gen Z and then Gen Alpha. We're millennial.
Yeah, ahead of us, they're struggling with that concept of like, I want it and I want it now.
Yeah, I want it now. Do you know who that's from?
No.
Willy Wonka. You don't remember that song?
No.
Okay, never mind. That's always what I think of. I bet you most of the people listening to this are going to laugh and be like, I know that. But yeah, I agree. And it's because one, they're trained with that, obviously with media and with electronics. But two, I think a lot of that is also sold into healthcare. Like Ozempic's huge, right? Yeah. But Ozempic causes cancer.
Yep.
We know people who have gotten cancer through Ozempic. And it starts in the thyroid. And like people just want what's fast and what's easy. And it's not how God created the world. He took his time. Even God took 7 whole days to create the universe, you know? If God took his time, then you can take your time.
Yeah.
It's okay to rest and be still. It's okay to meditate in prayer. Notice that I said that, in prayer through Christ, meditate through him and in his word, and really get discernment on what is good for your body and what isn't. Because also there are really cool, they talk about different types of plants and stuff that can help your body also in the Bible quite often. And that'd be kind of a fun series to do.
I've brought that up before.
I know. Maybe we should do it. Go through a biblical series of like all of the plants and herbs listed and talk about what they do for the body.
I think it'd be a lot of fun and informative for us.
And you guys can also let us know too, if that sounds interesting to you. But when it comes down to it, we need to understand whether you're assessing your own urine, assessing your own fecal matter, your own body odor, because your body odor should not be repulsive. If it is, then the things that you're eating are making you rot from the inside out. That's why you smell like it. So we even do that assessment with our own dogs. We started creating our own dogs' dog food because we knew it was healthier for them. And once we took them off that and put them on kibble for a little bit, because it got expensive here in California, oh my gosh, Jeremiah and I regretted it so much. Our dogs, their fur smelled bad. It also didn't look as good or as shiny. They started getting the Frito paws, and they never had that before. Their poop smelled horrible, and their urine was really strong.
Yeah.
And we know that because they go on the concrete in our backyard. We have some concrete, and it's annoying. They go pee on it. But still, we could smell it. So we can see the difference. If we can see the difference in our own animals, imagine what it's like for us. And I understand that for humans, we weren't really taught to be aware of these things, but God gave us our bodies to be aware of and to check in with. And you can understand your body without worshiping it. And the moment you start worshiping it, it's time for you to take a step back and repent and go to somebody for accountability and ask for help from church leaders.
I agree. What would you say is different types of worship people can do to their own body? It's a big question. But
Every way, shape, and form.
I think knowing that kind of really does help, like understanding, like if I'm worshiping my, my looks. Like it's an obvious one,
Yeah.
But then I feel like worshiping your own way, your own ability to heal yourself
Mm-hmm.
without giving the credit to the Lord. I don't think a lot of people consider that as sin.
Well, I think a lot of so I have clients that come in that are Christian all the time, and we talk about body sensitivity and body awareness. And I do tell them and encourage them, like, hey, your body awareness is a beautiful and good thing. If you can feel that there's something happening, it's a great thing. But becoming a hypochondriac is another. So freaking out and assuming every little thing is the end of the world, yes, you're now feeding into the spirit of fear and worry, and that is not biblical.
Yeah.
But being aware of those things, taking note, and then checking in with yourself throughout the day, the same thing that you do that with the Lord, you should be doing that. You should be taking note of things throughout the day and checking in with God. Hey, Lord, is this biblical that this happened? I was about to respond this way. Is that biblical? You can do that with your own body. We're like, man, I went to go reach into the cupboard and I felt a shooting pain in my lower back. That was kind of weird. I'm going to take note of that. Not immediately start freaking out and asking for prayer requests and calling everybody that you know and asking for help and making a doctor's appointment. Take a breather. Take a step back and see, is this going to happen again, or was it a fluke? Was it a one-time thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
Am I drinking enough water? Did I eat?
yes, because there are also people who are on the far opposite end of that spectrum who they've had a shooting pain every time they've reached for something for the past 3 years. And now, only to the point of where they can't work anymore is when they're going to acknowledge and finally come in and see somebody like me. And now we have so much more that we have to deal with. So both extremes, in my view, are sinful because you're ignoring what God is saying to you and you're ignoring what your body is saying to you. Your body's just saying like, hey, just something to be aware of here. And either way, it's a type of worship. One is worshiping, or they're both worshiping fear in two different extremes.
Yeah.
Worshiping fear of, oh my gosh, I don't want to have to pay for this. I don't want to have to go to the doctor. I'm going to be fine, Lord. I can just push through it. I can push through it. You're making it all about yourself and not taking a step back and being aware of your situations, and you're being fearful of what could happen. Oh, this is going to take me down this whole other road, and then I have to fix this and this and this. That's fearful. And it's also equally as fearful to have one little thing happen and freak out over it. So it's good to be in the middle and just check in and have understanding. So if you take that, like the fear aspect, and put it on your whole body, whether it's to sexual sin, people can over sexualize and hypersexualize everything and under sexualize things, which is not appropriate for the body. You can become sinful in a way where I've had clients come in and they get kind of, I guess, obsessive about their bodies and about their health, to the point where they care more about their life here than the kingdom come.
Yeah.
And in that way, it's also, I still think it's a fear-based thing. But in that way, that's probably the root cause of a lot of the sin, where they care more about feeling good and doing life here than understanding God's going to use you in every season, and there's a purpose for every season. And this is your purpose now. Who you are, the person you are now, is who God is using. So be okay with that. And that's a hard conversation to have with Christians in my office, because a lot of people then go, oh, well, then I can't serve and I can't do. Yes, sometimes there is a time to step back and to not be serving and to not be outpouring. But the same way that emotionally, when you're hurting, and I'm not saying you have to serve at church. There are some churches that believe that. I don't think you have to be serving at church to be a serving Christian. You should be, if you're in a church community, though, giving back in some way, shape, or form.
Which is serving.
Yeah. But I'm saying it doesn't have to just be.
Yeah. You can serve in
different
many ways.
Yeah. But what I am saying is the way that God is using you now, there are different ways to be in servitude. I have a client who, she was a very front-facing big person at our church for a long time. She had a severe thing happen with her inner ears. Different things happened that came up. she actually stepped back, and now she's serving by writing prayer cards on the prayer team for people.
It's amazing.
Because she can't go into church the same way that she used to. And that was so humbling hearing her story and hearing her share that experience while I was working on her. And it really put into check the way that I felt about my own problems and my life. And even in that way, the way that she spoke to me, she served me in that moment by being honest and genuine about her struggles. So I know this is like kind of a weirdly in-depth conversation to have when we're talking about urine, but that's why ultimately understanding that God has made every single thing in our body, even expelling, right? The toxins and gross things that we expel from our body, God still even uses that for a beautiful purpose, right?
Yeah.
For us to understand our bodies. And some people even use that to fertilize their own soil, if you really want to get that green about it. But Jeremiah just gagged thinking about it. What I'm saying is everything that even sounds gross, even pimples, we had our first body mapping episode was about pimples. They're used as an expression for us to understand what our body is saying. That's why it's called body mapping. I body map people all the time, whether it's through physical alignment or through stuff like this. And you guys deserve to have this information in your back pocket. And that's why Jeremiah and I created this podcast.
Yeah.
And you should be able to now look at your children's urine, your children's poops, your husband's, your wife's, whoever is listening to this. This is information for you guys to have to help sustain your family and to have knowledge to go further in your healthcare.
I like that. Yeah.
But especially through Christ. Do you feel a little more confident?
I feel like I understand my urine a little bit more. I feel like I understand more of how to pay attention to my body because I don't really consider my foot. You know, like I'm considering all my daily functions. So my hands, my shoulders, my back. I do construction. So whatever I'm using, you know, that's what I'm paying attention to. If I'm not using it, I'm not paying attention to it because I have all these other muscles and all these other bones.
Well, that's most people though.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's not bad to disassociate a little bit because how are we supposed to get things done throughout the day if we're constantly thinking about literally how my heart's functioning? Like we can't think about those things. Like the same way that unless I talk about blinking, now all of a sudden everyone becomes really aware of how many blinks they just did.
Or they're like, smiles are contagious. One person smiles and it just starts going.
Yeah, because you start thinking about smiling, right? So it's okay. God created our bodies to be able to disassociate in that healthy way, but also media and the world has used that disassociation in an unhealthy way and made it unbiblical with completely not checking in or not understanding our body. So we have to use these things in a biblical way to then be able to understand the temple that God created, which is our body. And if we're housing the Holy Spirit, we better honor it in a very healthy way. Again, all the way back to the very first episode of Casting Seeds. Who are you doing this for?
Yeah. Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so Savannah always tells me, it's like, when I die, you're going to have to do all this by yourself. I'm like, I don't know about all that. I'm like,
now you can listen to these.
That's a great point. I don't have to remember this anymore.
No, that's not what I meant.
But, wow. Yeah. You know, like I really appreciate you doing all this. And I hope everyone else does too, as much as I do, because it's beautiful and I really enjoy it.
Well, I appreciate you, especially. I think people, they've asked me a few times, like, because I clearly lead this podcast.
Yeah.
But I lead the information. I don't lead the editing. I don't lead the final product. That's all Jeremiah. Jeremiah leads this entire podcast. And she
thinks she has a say, and then I go and cut it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm kidding.
But there are things that I've said that Jeremiah is like, no, we have to cut that out. I'm not comfortable with it. And what's interesting is people don't understand what the actual dynamic is. And I'm really thankful to have a husband who's confident enough and secure enough with his walk and with us in our marriage to know that he doesn't have to explain that every single episode, that he's leading, and he has the final say. and the final draft with even our lives and where we're headed, and with my career and his. So these are actually all big things that we're having people pray for right now for us. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Casting Seeds. And if it was a light to you, please leave us a review. We love to see what you guys have to say here and your thoughts. We also love getting your emails and hearing what you guys want to hear in next week's episode. And don't forget to please check in for when our next big interview's coming. I'm so excited. Always praying. We hope you enjoyed learning how to cultivate God's creation from a biblical perspective. Holistic health is to prioritize whole person wellness through Christ. Like and comment on what topics we're casting seeds or casting pearls.
If you found this information provided useful, subscribe to our podcast for future updates, leave a review to help us improve, and share this episode. We would like to remind you before we leave that perfect health cannot be attained in this world.
Only spiritual salvation through sanctification and repentance to God and turning away from sin will give you a perfect body in the kingdom come. Nourish yourself in the Word, in prayer, and in biblical fellowship daily.
Thank you for joining us today, and a special thank you to our listeners for making this podcast possible.
Always praying.
Keep casting seeds.